Welcome to this Hypnobirthing Taster Session. If we haven't met before, I'm Sarah. I'm a birth and postnatal doula, a hypnobirthing teacher, and also a breastfeeding peer supporter. I thought I would put this short taster session together for hypnobirthing as I'm hoping it's going to give you a little bit of an insight as to what hypnobirthing is and give you a little bit of an idea as to the types of things that I teach on my hypnobirthing courses. I do think that there can be a little bit of a misconception around what hypnobirthing is. I've certainly heard it described before as being a bit woo woo, a bit hippy dippy, and I can say that certainly for the courses that I teach, that couldn't be further from the truth. And not that I think there's anything wrong with either of those two things, but it's just not the reality of what my courses are. So, my hypnobirthing sessions are a full birth preparation course. They are rooted in evidence, they're science based, and I teach you really effective tools and techniques to be able to manage birth as well and as easily as possible. I teach you the birth process, the stages of labour, so that you can really understand what is happening to your body throughout your labour and your birth. And I also feel like this is really important for birth partners to understand as well. The more that we can understand what's happening within our bodies, the better supported we can be. There is so much that we can do for our system and for our bodies as we progress through labour. And also, there's so much that we can do to create a really conducive environment for birth. Give you the tools, the knowledge, and the confidence to be able to prepare for birth, feeling really empowered and really well informed. I'd like you to think just for a moment what thoughts come up for you when I say the words labour and birth. So, what words come to mind when you think of labour and birth? Now, this is something that I ask in my classes, and actually, I've got some sticky notes here of some of the responses that women have given. It'd be interesting, perhaps there's some of the words that you think of here in this pile. So, here's just a few that I'll read to you: scary, emotional, painful, tiring, medication, stuck together, pain, pairing, necessary, unknown. That's just a few. I've got piles of those cards. And I wonder, where do these thoughts and ideas that we have about birth come from? And are they entirely our own? So often, when I have this conversation in my courses and my classes, women will tell me that actually a lot of their thoughts and opinions around birth have come from TV, film, media, and other people's stories. Now, interestingly enough, I was talking to a woman in one of my pregnancy relaxation classes recently, and actually, she was sharing with the group. She was pregnant with her second baby, and she was telling us how she'd had an incredible first birth with her first baby. And she described it as being relatively easy. She didn't experience high levels of pain. And she said that actually she very, very rarely shares her experience of birth. Now, this is because she doesn't want other women who haven't had as positive an experience to feel bad. She doesn't want to sound inconsiderate when sharing what a positive experience she had. And I wonder how many people this is true for, because it generally seems to be that we hear about the more dramatic, more difficult, and also more traumatic birth experiences that people have. And I don't believe that it's because women aren't having positive birth experiences. I do believe that we hear about them less and less. And thinking about how we see birth portrayed in film and TV, I've certainly never seen labour and birth shown on the telly that has been positive, that has been orgasmic. And that's not because women don't have these types of births, but I've never seen it shown on TV. What I have seen time and time again is really dramatic scenes, lots of screaming, generally a woman, well, pretty much always a woman lay on flat on her back, legs in the air, screaming, and people around her shouting, push, 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 and usually lots of medical professionals as well. So it's interesting to start to think about, where do we actually get these ideas and thoughts around birth? Certainly, what we're seeing on TV and the media is that birth is generally very medicalized. It can be quite a scary environment. There's usually a lot of fear within the space. And so it's no wonder that actually, when we start asking the questions about what thoughts come to mind when we think about birth, not all, but for a lot of women, it's pain, it's fear, it's the unknown. And our expectations of birth really matter, because our expectations create a sense and a feeling within the body, and they actually create fear. It's really unhelpful when women go into labour feeling fearful. It creates a response within our system, both emotionally, physically, and mentally, that isn't conducive to birth unfolding naturally and easily. Our expectations of birth are really important, as negative feelings lead to fear. And I'm going to share with you now a short story about an obstetrician back in the early 20th century in East London. His name was Grantley Dick Reed, and he went to attend a birth to a woman in Whitewell. She was quite a poor woman. She lived in fairly squalid conditions. He described her home as having stacks up at the windows, and the space was lit by some candles. And there was also a woman there, an older woman from the community. Now, as he did with all births that he attended, he observed the woman and he offered her what was the drug of choice at that time, which was chloroform. Now, chloroform went on to be classed as being very, very dangerous and also fatal. But this was the drug of choice at that time. And he offered it to the woman and she declined. Now, this was really unusual. So the woman continued to progress in her labour and she birthed her baby. And later, Dr. Grantley Dick Reed asked the woman, "Why did you decline the chloroform? Didn't you want the pain relief? Didn't it hurt? Wasn't it painful?" And she replied, "No, doctor, it wasn't supposed to be, was it?" And he said that that line stuck with him. "No, doctor, it wasn't supposed to be, was it?" And he then went on to observe future births that he attended, and he started to see a pattern that for the women who had little or no expectation of birth, they would have a much easier, much quicker labour. Dr. Grantley Dick Reed went on to write a book called Birth Without Fear, and it became known as one of the most influential books for birth. And in this book, he talks about something called the fear, tension, pain cycle. We become fearful, our body experiences tension, and our experiences have become more uncomfortable, more painful. So if you think of a time when, I don't know, maybe you felt scared or afraid, or maybe you've seen a spider, or you've watched a scary movie, something like that, your body naturally tenses up, and it's really hard to relax and come out of that feeling of fear and tension. When we feel fear, our body becomes tense. And when our body becomes tense, we experience higher levels of pain. And so becomes this cycle: fear, tension, pain. The more painful and the more uncomfortable something becomes, the greater the sense of fear. Greater the sense of fear, the more tension the body produces. And the cycle continues. And when we think about birth, we can see how really unhelpful this is. So just a quick exercise that I'd love you to do with me. If you pop your hands out in front of you and with your fingers nice and relaxed, I just want you to tap your fingers and your thumb together. And I'm sure that feels relatively easy to do. And now I want you to create a lot of tension in your fingers. Really create like a claw if you can. And then repeat the same thing. Just want you to tap your fingers together. And I'm guessing that that's going to feel a lot harder. It's a lot harder, it's a lot slower, and it's a lot more uncomfortable. Now, this represents the work of muscles and the difference between relaxed muscles working and tense muscles working. You can really feel and see the difference. Now, this is really important when it comes to birth because labour is essentially the work of muscles. Your uterus, your womb, is a bag of muscles working hard to bring baby down. So you can imagine that relaxed muscles working well, working easily, really effective. Tense muscles working much harder, much slower, and it's much more uncomfortable. So if we just consider the impact that tension has on these muscles, labour can become much harder, much slower, and much more painful when muscles are tight and tense. Muscles become tight and tense when we feel fear and when we feel fearful. This is what I teach in my hypnobirthing classes. I give you the tools and techniques to create a relaxation response in your body and to break that cycle, to break that fear, tension, pain cycle and trigger a relaxation response. This is something that you'll practice over and over again so that when you're in the birth space, it becomes second nature. Your body knows how to do this. You can trigger that relaxation response and break the fear, tension, pain cycle. Many people's bodies are tense and in fear mode when they go into labour. And this can be for many reasons. The unfamiliar environment, the unknown, perhaps not understanding what it is that their body is experiencing, and perhaps also feeling pressured into interventions that you don't necessarily want. The unknown can create a lot of tension in the body. And this is really unhelpful for birth to be able to progress well. When we're fearful, our bodies produce adrenaline. And when we're producing adrenaline, labour starts to slow down and it can also feel more uncomfortable. Now, when our bodies are producing adrenaline, we're unable to produce the really powerful hormone of oxytocin. And oxytocin is something that we rely on heavily in labour and birth. And it's the hormone that's actually responsible for those contractions of the uterus, the womb. So it's essential that our bodies are able to produce oxytocin and to keep that flow of oxytocin going. So the increase in adrenaline is really unhelpful in the birth space and it starts to slow labour down and labour becomes more painful. Now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the mind because it's a really important aspect of hypnobirthing and birth itself. So we have the conscious part of the mind and we have the unconscious part of the mind. I'm just going to show you a little diagram, which I know will be slightly back to front to you on the camera, but hopefully you get the gist. So you can see that we've got the iceberg here. Now, the top part of the iceberg, which is above the surface of the water, this is representing the conscious part of our mind. It's the smallest part of our mind, and this is where logic and rational thoughts are. And then the bottom part of the iceberg beneath the surface, the largest part of the iceberg, represents the unconscious part of the mind. Now, the unconscious part of the mind, as I said, is the largest part of the mind. And this is where we store information. So it's a little bit like a computer hard drive. And anything that we have seen or heard is stored here in the unconscious mind. And it's the part of the mind that fights anything that gets in the way of our survival. It serves to protect us. The unconscious part of the mind controls our emotions. And it perceives what it hears and sees as either safe or unsafe. So if a woman hears scary stories about birth, the unconscious part of the mind will store that information and it will classify that birth is unsafe, triggering a series of responses and emotions. For lots of women, when labour begins, their unconscious part of the mind will literally flash through all of the negative things that they have ever seen and heard about birth in order to protect them and ultimately to clarify that birth is unsafe. We go into survival mode. Now, for birth to progress well, we don't want to be in survival mode. We need to be in birth mode. We need to feel safe. And the result is that labour slows down. Labour becomes more difficult. And often this is when medical intervention is sometimes needed, which otherwise might not have been. And we can logically tell ourselves that birth is safe, that women have been birthing babies for millions of years and will continue to birth babies easily and naturally. However, that's the logical part of the mind. It's the conscious part of the mind. And our subconscious part of the mind, the unconscious part, doesn't work in logic. It works in survival. To work on the unconscious part of the mind, we have to go deeper. And this is where hypnobirthing is so powerful, because we work on the subconscious mind. I teach you tools and techniques to be able to prepare both your mind and your body for labour, and to really understand how the body works. It makes a massive amount of difference knowing how you can support yourself for things to unfold as easily and as naturally as possible. As part of this taster session, I have included one of my shorter hypnobirthing tracks that you can listen to at home. Now, not everybody finds it that easy to relax initially. And as I've said before, it's a skill and it's a practice, and it's something that we can learn over time. Now, these hypnobirthing tracks are effective on both a conscious and a subconscious level. So the more you listen, the more beneficial they are. Now, don't worry, if you're not used to relaxation or you don't find it comes that easily, you will still be benefiting from the tracks themselves. I know often when we start to relax and maybe listen to a meditation or a relaxation, our minds can still be really busy. I think we live in such a stimulated world these days that actually it can be really hard to quieten the mind. And often we can be thinking about the shopping list or what we're going to have for dinner that night. And that's okay. Just allow those thoughts to come and then try and take your attention back to the track. It's absolutely a skill that we can learn. And yeah, just remember that even if you don't feel as though you're taking in the track, you are. It's working on a subconscious level. And if you fall asleep, that's absolutely fine. And so hypnobirthing isn't fluff, it isn't woo-woo. It's rooted in evidence and it's science-based. It's designed to help you understand both your mind and body and how best to support yourself during birth. I'll leave links below this video for further information on any of my hypnobirthing courses or pregnancy relaxation classes. I also have a range of postnatal resources as well. Something that I really love about the job that I do is that I get to support women through every stage of pregnancy, birth, and the postnatal days. It's really vital that we feel supported at these times. So I'll leave all of the details for ways that you can work with me below. And I'd really love to hear maybe if you've experienced hypnobirthing yourself, or if it's something that's completely new to you, drop me a message. I'd love to hear how you found this taster session. And if it's brought up any questions for you, absolutely send me a message. Pregnancy and birth and postpartum are my absolute favourite topics to discuss. So I always really welcome chats in either my DMs on Instagram or via email. So you can pop me a message there. I really hope that you've enjoyed this short taster session about hypnobirthing, and it's given you a little bit of an insight into what hypnobirthing is and hopefully what it isn't. Thanks so much for joining me, and any questions, just let me know.
Candle relaxation. So give yourself permission now to really settle back into the chair or the bed or wherever you find yourself. Give yourself permission to leave all your everyday cares and concerns behind, just for a while. Permission to focus purely on yourself and on the birth of your baby, which your body is preparing for soon. So just check your body now and make sure that you feel comfortable. Remember that it's perfectly okay to adjust your position if you need to. And you might find that it helps to place your hands just loosely in your lap or alongside you. And make sure that your legs are uncrossed. Just be aware of the sensation of your body, supported by the chair, the bed. And you might begin by taking a deep breath in, allowing the air to flow all the way down into your belly. And then as you breathe out, experiencing a wave of relaxation, which flows over you from the top of your head all the way down to the tips of your toes. Feeling your shoulders drop, your jaw relax, all muscles loose, limp, and relaxed. And as you continue to just be aware of your breathing, you can allow yourself to breathe naturally in and out, nice and easy. There is absolutely no need to breathe in any particular way, no need to control it or force it in any way. And as you breathe naturally and easily in and out, imagine yourself breathing in calmness and breathing out any tension that is in your body. Breathing in calmness, breathing out tension. In your mind's eye, I wonder if you can picture a candle. Now, I don't know what kind of candle it will be that you'll see. Maybe a tall, delicate candle, or perhaps a heavy, thick candle. Either way, it's up to you. And perhaps this candle is in an ornate candlestick, or maybe a simple china one. And again, it's your decision. The candle is already lit with a gentle flame. And just as you gaze at the flame, you can enjoy the relaxing feeling of watching it gently glow. And as you watch, you notice that the wax of the candle is softening from the heat of the flame. Perhaps there are even drips of wax starting to run down the side of the candle now. And as you watch the candle burning, it's almost as though your own muscles are just like the wax of that candle, slowly softening and melting. And it's such a lovely feeling to focus all your attention on that candle. And as you do, you notice the changing colours and the shapes in the golden flame. And you see the wax glowing with warmth and beginning to soften and drip slowly down the sides. And you allow yourself to let go of any stress or tension that you might be holding on to. You imagine all of the muscles of your body just smoothing out now. Every muscle in your body just relaxing, softening, just like that warm, melting wax. So just now bring your thoughts back to your body and bring your attention to the top of your head. And just like that candle slowly softening, think about letting all the muscles of your scalp soften and relax, just letting go of any tension, all through your hair and down the back of your neck, just allowing all of the muscles to be completely loose, limp and relaxed. And now think about your face, all of the tiny muscles around your eyes, just allowing these muscles to be totally soft. Your eyebrows, your eyelids, underneath the eyes. And you might even notice that your eyelids are fluttering as you go deeper into relaxation. Or it might seem as though your eyelids are getting heavier and heavier. And it's so nice just to relax any tension or strain in those closed eyelids. So much so that even if you wanted to do, those eyelids feel so relaxed that they simply won't open. And even if they did, they would close again just as quickly, taking you even deeper into relaxation. And now think about the muscles in your cheeks and through your jaw. You might find that it helps to allow your tongue to gently fall away from the roof of your mouth and just soften your jaw. Now think about your shoulders, just allowing them to drop. Really feel your shoulders fall away, and as they do, the tension there just melts away. And as your shoulders fall, this can be a sign to you to relax all the muscles in your body, all the way from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes. Just relax those shoulders and feel every muscle in your whole body relax as well. And be aware that just a simple touch on the shoulder can be a signal for you to relax. Just the weight of a hand resting there will remind you to let those shoulders drop, to let go of tension, to just melt any tightness or any tension away. Now remember that it's always fine to change position if you need to. Even in hypnosis, you can feel free to move around if you need to, feel more comfortable. It's always your choice to make yourself just as comfortable as you need to be. And you're feeling so comfortable now, just feeling your body relaxed. Nobody is wanting anything from you. Nobody is demanding anything. All you need to do is just relax. Now think about the muscles in your stomach. If you're holding any tension there, just allow it to go as you breathe naturally and easily in and out. You could also think about the muscles down your back, in your thighs, down your legs, into your feet and your toes. Breathing in calmness, breathing out tension. And now that you're feeling so relaxed, you think about the birth of your baby and how excited you are to meet your baby for the first time. You know that the more that you relax at your baby's birth, the easier it will be. You know that each and every day you gain more trust in your body and your confidence grows. You enjoy the time you are taking out to relax, knowing that it's such a positive preparation for your baby's birth. The more that you practice relaxation, the better at it you become. So in a moment, it will be time to come back to this room in the here and the now. So when you feel ready, you start to feel the awareness returning to your body. You feel some soft, gentle movements as the energy returns. Your eyes feel lighter. And when you feel ready, you open them and you're back. And you just relax until you are fully adjusted to the environment.